in the dead stillness of a desert night, when the horizon stretched like a dark bowl tipped over the world and every creature seemed to hold its breath, Elias Turner found himself staring at the trembling silhouette of a woman standing outside his weather-worn cabin door, her thin shawl flapping like a torn banner in the wind, her long braids sliding over her shoulders like strands of shadow, and her lips pressed together as though she were holding back a tide of words that wanted to burst free, yet her eyes dark, wide, and filled with the kind of cold that seeped into the bone looked at him with desperate pleading as she whispered, "I'm freezing. Let me in, I beg you." Elias had been warned many times by the elders in town that strange things wandered the high desert after sunset, things that borrowed the shape of humans but carried with them the silence of the grave and the hunger of forgotten spirits. But the woman before him didn't look like an apparition. She looked exhausted, half-starved, her hands trembling violently, her breath fogging in the unnatural chill that had no place in a desert night. And before he could stop himself, he cracked the door open one hesitant inch and asked who she was. "My name is Nara," she whispered, her voice breaking like dry wood under weight. "Daughter of the mountain wind, descendant of the Chiricahua line. Please let me in before the frost claims." Emmy, Elias felt confusion ripple through him, because frost had not touched this land in months, yet the air around her dripped with icy crystals, forming delicate patterns along the edge of his doorway. And though fear prickled the back of his neck, something in her eyes, something hollow and ancient, pulled his hand toward the latch. She stepped inside with a gasp of relief, but even as warmth filled her cheeks, the room temperature plummeted, frost crawling along the wooden floorboards like living veins seeking her. Elias stepped back, his heart pounding, trying to convince himself this was simply a woman dying of exposure. But her next words cut through that hope like a knife. "If you shelter me, I will reward you beyond imagination. Gold, protection, visions, anything you desire. Just don't cast me back into the cold." The flames in the fireplace wavered, as though bowing before her presence, and Elias found himself asking what she was running from. What kind of cold stalked a woman across the desert? Nara sank to her knees, pressing her shaking palms to the floor, whispering in a language older than the land, and for a moment the room filled with a strange glow, faint but unmistakable like a candle struggling against a storm. She explained, in a trembling voice, that she had angered a winter spirit buried deep beneath the mountain ridge, a spirit her people once respected and kept asleep with offerings, but now long forgotten and awakened by trespassers who dug carelessly into sacred soil with machines and explosives. She had gone to stop them, she said, her breath turning into spirals of frost as she spoke. But the spirit, starved for centuries, latched onto her life force and fed on the warmth of her soul until she barely clung to existence. "It follows me," she whispered, glancing toward the window where ice was forming in lace-like fractals. "It wants to claim me fully, but it cannot enter a home uninvited." Elias felt a surge of dread crash through him. He had let her in, yes, but what if her presence allowed the thing to follow? Before he could ask, the walls shuddered with a deep, distant rumble, as though something enormous dragged itself across the earth. His lantern flickered, the flames dancing violently before shrinking to little more than blue quivers. Nara clutched his sleeve, her voice nearly a hiss. "Whatever happens, do not open the door again." And then, like a cruel test from the darkness itself, came the sound, slow, deliberate knocking, each thud heavier than any human fist could make, echoing through his chest like the heartbeat of some buried titan. Elias froze, his breath caught halfway between fear and disbelief, while the knocking grew faster, angrier, as though the night itself were demanding entry. Through the wooden planks came a voice not like Nara's, nor like any voice of the living but layered, echoing, scraped raw by ice and centuries. "Give her back." The cabin walls crackled as frost spread in a web around them, crawling like white fire across every surface, and Nara whispered a chant under her breath, her eyes glowing faintly with the remnants of ancestral power. Elias wanted to run, to hide, to do anything but stand there as something ancient fought to claw its way inside. But he remained rooted beside her, drawn by some deep instinct, telling him that her presence, her courage was the only thing keeping him alive. The spirit's voice roared again, shaking dust from the rafters, and this time it spoke directly to Elias, promising warmth if he opened the door, promising safety from the storm, promising riches carved from frozen mountains. And for one terrifying moment the spirit's whispers were so persuasive. But Nara slammed her palm against his, her touch scorching hot now, like the last ember of a dying fire, and yelled, "Do not believe its promises. The spirits of cold offer only death." With a final furious bellow, the winter entity slammed against the cabin one last time, cracking the outer beams, before retreating back into the night, with the sound of shattering glass and a wind that screamed like wounded stone. Hours passed, maybe minutes, maybe centuries, and slowly the room warmed. The frost melted, and Nara slumped forward, exhausted but alive. She thanked Elias, telling him that by offering shelter without greed, without seeking reward, he had severed the spirit's claim on her for good. "You showed mercy to one who had nothing left," she whispered, "and that is a gift the spirits cannot corrupt." As dawn broke, painting the desert in soft gold, Nara stepped outside, her breath now warm, her eyes bright, the curse lifted. Before leaving, she pressed a small carved stone into Elias's hand, a sigil of protection. She explained, "Carved by her ancestors. It will guard your home for generations," she said softly, "for you saved a daughter of the wind." Her silhouette dissolving into the morning sun. And though he never saw her again, the nights were never cold in that cabin afterward. Never again did frost form on his door. Never again did the desert cry with the voice of winter. And those who later visited his cabin would swear they felt a warm, invisible presence watching over the place, as though a spirit of gratitude lingered there, forever guarding the man who chose compassion over fear. If you enjoyed this tale and want more haunting, powerful stories like this filled with mystery, emotion, and supernatural wonder, make sure to subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and join our storytelling family. More unforgettable episodes await you.